All right, waiting for Adelina. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Hi.
can you
We're
hear
just
me?
gonna, yeah, I can hear you, but it's just I've never had that happen before where there's a reverb or whatever, but
The
oh,
reverb. I don't know how to fix it. It might be like a function of the internet here, you know? The internet here in Vermont, where I'm staying, is really not top notch.
mm, that's all right.
Yeah. It's the guide signal to me to like go within, spend lots of time healing, don't be
Uh,
online all day.
is that what you've been doing?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
been amazing.
Mm.
It's just so beautiful here. The mountains are so incredible. And the weather has been snowy and then rainy, snowy and then rainy. So you just kind of want to curl up inside with a good book. It's been really nice. I'm
Yeah.
very lucky. I know how fortunate I am to be here. I don't take it for granted for a second.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
How's it going
Beautiful.
there?
It's good. We've had some rain too.
Okay.
And so a lot of sunshine though. LA thankfully is the weather's been really beautiful. So I feel
Good.
good. We're all kind of in a good place, thank goodness. Yeah.
I've liked seeing
Oh,
your flower pictures when you take the dogs out for walks.
I know.
It's
I mean, nature is
springtime.
so, it's in bloom. Everything is in bloom, and the bees are so busy. I've never seen so many bees or noticed. Maybe because we're also running, we were all running around so much faster than we are now.
Right.
So yeah, to see all the bees, it's beautiful. It's to see and appreciate nature right now because who knows? Yeah,
Oh, that made all the difference. Is that better?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I stopped screen recording. I guess I'll do it afterwards. I hear you
Okay.
perfectly now.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting because maybe somebody can answer this. Of course, we're going to sit here and ask technical questions of all these fabulous
But
young
I mean, the
people
people
who
who
know
watch
how to
our
do
last,
things. It's so simple. And every single time, I always think, okay, this time, but literally, I'll push end
yeah,
and there's no little arrow. There's no, and I wait for the arrow because I think, well, maybe we were on for a long time and it's taking the arrow a minute to come up. But for some reason, when I push end on the top right of the
yeah.
screen, there is no thing that says save. What I have been able to do is just afterwards save it and send it.
But then, like last time, you did save it and send it, and that was so nice of you. But then I couldn't get it to save to my camera roll.
I know
And so
that's what's
why
so
I have
weird.
tons of space.
But maybe it's because it's too big. It's too large of a, you can't save longer videos. Oh, it's because of the length of it. You
Oh,
can't save longer videos, someone said. So we have to talk fast. We have
okay.
to do
Talk
this
fast.
in 3 parts.
Okay, do it in 3 parts. Okay, so
Right.
first,
One is
fill
a
me in.
technical
What's the
question.
latest news? What's happening with you?
Um, what's happening with me? Oh, it's such an interesting time because it's taken me a minute to really slow down because,
Hmm.
I kept thinking, oh, I'll just keep busy and keep busy. And now I'm getting, like what you're saying, is just sort of stepping away a little bit and getting more and more quiet,
Hmm.
um, which is sort of what I saw coming. Like I've seen a lot of this stuff, I thought, get everything done you need to get done kind of thing,
Right.
because you're going to have time to be quiet for a while.
Hmm.
And that's certainly how it's feeling and with these sort of extensions of what's going on. Um, and then there's a lot of stuff being sent around that if you read it or watch it, it's a little bit,
Disconcerting.
whoa.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's that. But thankfully I have a balance of both because there's other wonderful, there's the other energy that's being put out there, which is that this is ultimately going to be good, even though it won't be fun in the process, or let's say not
Right.
fun, but it will be a challenge. We'll feel a lot of different emotions, I'm sure, going through this. And but maybe that's good too. Maybe it's good for us to get in touch with all that stuff that, you know but I feel blessed because I spend a lot of time on my own and doing with the dogs, and or I go on
Hmm.
location and I'm on location
By yourself.
filming and in a trailer, and I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with people, but I do spend a fair amount of time and have gotten used to traveling on my, doing a lot of stuff. So in
Yeah.
that way, it's sort of normal without, if I don't think into the future or worry about all the stuff that everyone's talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key, I think, is to just, I think what this whole experience is teaching all of us as a collective is to just be in the moment,
Mm,
which, like, my spirit guides have been talking about this for years, but I think this is, we as a collective kind of came to this moment so that we could all remember how to just live in today. Don't plan for
yeah.
the future because we can't, right? Like,
Hmm.
you had shows coming up, I had speaking engagements coming up, everything is shut down because we just don't know when we can be so close to each other again. And so
Yeah.
we're forced to just not even think about it. Like, okay, I wanted to take a trip in July, can't plan it because I don't know. I don't want
Interesting.
to get stuck somewhere in quarantine. So I just
Hmm.
have to live right now. I have to live exactly in this moment and deal with all of the feelings that come up in that moment and try my very best to not pay attention to all the noise.
Yeah, and see, absolutely, and see abundance in a different way, and see
Mm-hmm.
prosperity in a different way, and see things in a different way, because I have a feeling that all that's going to change really quick overnight too. You know, where what we thought, I was thinking when I was driving today, if because we're all so isolated, if let's say a grid went down, or we couldn't communicate by our phones, or we couldn't communicate because we are all on our phones and live by our phones, right?
Right.
From one way for business, even if it's not
Yeah.
social media and, you know, news and all that, it's for our business, right? So
Right.
everybody's, and how would we communicate and what would we do? You know, it would be, and if we didn't, you know, everyone's got like, you know, very few people even have a watch anymore. We rely on our phones for the time. I mean, I was thinking, God, I have a watch that's sort of a watch that tells time, you know, that's just a
Right.
normal watch. Because
Yeah.
if things, you know, if something happened where we couldn't communicate with our phones, what would you do? Like, how would you wouldn't even know what time it was.
Well, you and
Do
I
you know what I'm
communicate
saying?
telepathically, so we'd always have that.
I understand, but what I'm saying is it's interesting to think of how we live and rely so much on other things, right? And
Yeah.
how dependent we become, which is not a bad thing. It's not, I mean, it's not good or bad. It's just the way it is. But to think of how we would deal with something where if we couldn't do that, you know what I mean? Just, and what you're saying about being in the moment, and sort of the other side of it is, it's really putting us in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about all that we rely on. And it's interesting.
It is. But I think that, and I'm going to go new agey. I hope your followers
Mm,
enjoy it. They enjoyed
that's
it
why
last
I
time,
love
so
you.
that's good. Yeah. I think that, you know, as a collective, this was manifested, this whole experience was manifested for a number of reasons, but a lot of it was so that our financial systems, as they knew it, as we knew them, would collapse, and our healthcare systems would collapse, so that we could see that what we're doing is not working for the majority of people in the world, right?
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
now it's our responsibility and our role to rebuild those things in a way that is serving more than just a few people at the top.
Right.
And so I think that's, I mean, it's hard to find a gift in this pandemic, of course, but if we have to
Hmm.
find a gift, that's the gift.
Hmm.
And I think the
Hmm.
gift, if the phones go out and we can't use the internet anymore for whatever reason, the gift there is to practice and work on our other intuitive gifts, like communicating telepathically and learning how to plan ahead so much in such a way that we can still do things with people. Like, so for example, if our phones went out today,
Right.
I don't have your address. That sucks. But I could probably find it somehow and then send you letters and say, okay,
Right.
I'm going to be in LA next time in July. Let's meet for a coffee on this day at this place.
Right. Right.
And we would just kind of go back in history that way, to a point where if you're not able to communicate telepathically with people, you can at least still be in touch in some form and make plans in advance to be together in some way.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't think it would be forever. I think it would just be something that
Right.
could happen with a power, like, you know, I was reading about a power outage, you know, on the East Coast because of the weather. And I
Right.
thought, oh, wow.
We
You know,
had that
that's what I
experience.
mean. I don't mean like big woo woo. I just mean like, you know,
Yeah.
small things like that
Temporary.
where it's out for a moment. Because you were saying about being in the moment. And I was that's why I was thinking, wow, if even just how much we rely on all these things, I think it would be temporary, obviously, obviously, but um, what we would kind of do in that moment, it's not a bad thing to think of, because of whether it's climate and the things that we're dealing with climate wise that may create, what I'm talking about things.
Right.
But if you talk about communicating telepathically, and what do you mean by that, and how does it work really from your standpoint? I mean,
so I think it's different for everybody, but the way it's worked for me and the people that I serve, I have this mentorship program where I help people learn how to tap into their intuitive gifts more, whether it's telepathy or clairaudience, being able to hear spirit guides, clairvoyance, being able to see spirit guides, that kind of. Hi, baby. And so the way that it works for me anyway.
You just have to take a moment. Sorry, I'm so sorry to interrupt. You just have to take a moment for them to bark at the people walking down the hallway. I just don't want them to bark over your entire. Are we good, guys?
Are we good?
Okay. I think we're good. All right. Sorry to interrupt you. I didn't want them to. No, let her. Yeah. Okay.
So the way that it's worked for me is with the clients that I serve, in teaching telepathy, is that first what we do is the best way to practice telepathy is with somebody that you already know pretty well. So usually we start with like a best friend or a sister or brother or a spouse, and they practice sending messages to that person whenever they feel that person strongly. And we all have this gift to feel somebody strongly. And so they practice sending a message like, bring me home a mango. We try to go kind of odd. So it's not something.
A mango. I love this.
I'm thinking of you, or something vague in general,
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So if you send bring me home a mango enough times in a row, and you really feel that person while you're doing it, you go up to a point of meditation and you feel that person while you're doing it, they will eventually get the message. It's been my experience anyway. And this is how I teach people. But it does take practice, and it does take time, and it takes people unblocking their belief systems usually to do it, because most people think, oh, I can't communicate telepathically. How would I do that? That makes no sense. And so first we have to work on those things. Like, why do you have this block? Why do you think you couldn't communicate telepathically? And we clear those things first with neurolinguistic programming and some other spiritual tools.
Yeah, because if we were raised to think that we could, we would. Do you know what I mean? So many things that so many of our beliefs are just programs anyway that we've been told are the way things are, the way, so a lot of what we think of as woo-woo or out there, whatever, it just hasn't been a part of our collective education. Right. And so it seems it's outside of what we have been told is okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not that it's not, yet we can sort of go to a movie and buy into a sci-fi movie, or like I always talk about Star Wars or something like that, and yet we can sort of in that moment believe that that's possible. Why would they be writing it? I always think, God, people have come up with this stuff. Where did they come up with it? They must have thought about it or experienced it themselves or something. So, but I do believe that there is definitely a connectedness between people, and whether we choose to open up to that or not is an individual thing. And again, it's a lot of it's just even being aware that it exists, because it's not really taught in our culture, or something we've all experienced, I think, a coincidence or a deja vu, all these things that we know kind of are, oh, that's kind of funny that I was thinking about such and such and they called, or I was thinking about this and that happened, or that they started talking about that. Or my mother and I do it a lot with my grandmother, where we'll be talking about something. I'll think, oh, Mimi's here, she's here, because there's just too many funny things that connect with us talking about her, or I would have worn her necklace the day before, and my mom will say something, and she won't even would not have even known. And I find I do it a lot in terms of sending people love, so you can just experience it yourself. Of particularly if you have children, or obviously anyone you love deeply, or even just the earth. When everyone did that meditation of just sending beautiful, good energy. You sat to meditate and you felt the collective. It was powerful. It was a very different meditation than I had ever experienced because it was such a big thing. So,
Yeah.
and now is such a beautiful time because we do have time to go within
Right.
to practice some of these things, and if nothing else, try it. See if it feels good to you. I mean, look,
Right.
it may not feel good to everyone. It may be like, that doesn't feel right to me, and that's okay too. But certainly it's
Yeah.
can be helpful for
For
many,
everyone. And
for
there are phases
everyone.
too. Like if telepathy doesn't feel right to you right now, that's okay. You're in a different phase. There's something else that's going to feel right to you right now. And
Yeah,
you just have to find that thing. And then later on, telepathy might feel right.
yeah,
It's okay to go in phases. Everybody has to go in phases, you know?
yeah. Well, first we have to get off TikTok, and then once off TikTok, maybe there'll be some telepathy going on. You don't need telepathy with TikTok. It's like, it's constant telepathy.
Yeah.
That's what TikTok really means.
I don't think I even knew what TikTok was until I got here. Honestly. Like
Yeah,
someone here
kids.
showed me what TikTok was. I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's a new thing. Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly kids. That's why it's mostly, it's like the new thing, all the kids
Yeah.
were doing, because it's music. It's so fun. I mean, it really is fun.
Yeah.
And see why they love it.
Yeah. I'm enjoying the videos. They're
Yeah,
cute.
it's totally fun. It's totally entertaining. I love it. And another way to share our day, a way
Right.
to do that. So what else have you been experiencing or getting from other people? What's been coming up with people that you work with and you coach, and what's been coming up? What have been the main things with people?
So it's really changed so much week to week, which is so interesting. Like we did this 1 week ago. I think our last live was 1 week ago, right? Maybe more.
It feels like a year ago. It honestly feels like so long ago.
So it
does feel like a long time.
There was an interesting phase of breakups. So partnerships breaking up and people realizing once you're home 24/7 with your spouse, you realize like, oh, this actually worked really well for us when we only saw each other 20 minutes a day, but now it's not working. And so that was kind of the first tranche of things. And now this past week has been about resolving old stuff. So why are you so triggered by having your kids home the whole time? Why are you so triggered by having to like be responsible for your kids' education, which is a huge thing. I completely understand that. But there are triggers underneath that as well, because it's like you were saying before, we learn these things as a society. We learn from a young age, like, okay, when you're a child around the age of 5, you go to school and you keep doing that until you're 18. Mm-hmm. Maybe you keep doing that until you're 27. It depends on what you want. But it's the switching up of our belief systems and what we accepted as our reality for so long. It's really hard, to look at things in a whole new way. And I can't imagine the pressure. I don't have kids myself, but I can't imagine the pressure of working from home, working remotely, which is something a lot of people have never done before. I do it every day, but it was odd when I first started. I know what that feels like. And then on top of that, having to work on your kids' education, that's a lot. It's a lot for people to hold.
Yeah.
So those have kind of been the themes coming up this week, and how to adjust our thinking and resolve old traumas that are kind of feeding into the irritation of having to do so many things, being split in so many directions at the same time, but also being able to have more rest because there are no parties to go to. There are no events to plan.
There's no guide for all of this. I mean,
Right.
There's no, it's like when you become a new parent, there's tons of books, but it's kind of like you just have to do what you do because every kid's different. Every situation's different. You can only read so many books, and then you have to be in the moment with it's the same now. It's, it was like, there was nothing really that could prepare us for as many changes that happened at once. Mm-hmm. So, it was like, okay, it wasn't like, okay, now we're going to homeschool our kids. Now we're going to do this. It hasn't been implemented over, It's like,
Yeah.
okay, overnight, you now have to deal with your spouse, to deal with your child, deal with your relation. You have to deal with your finances. You have to do, it was like so much, but maybe in a way it's better to have to deal with it all at once because, you know, everything
Get
becomes
over it.
very clear.
Yeah.
Um,
True.
but
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so if we keep talking, is this going to save or can I save this one and then we can start again?
Try it. Well, you know, we always try new things together. This is a good new thing to try. Don't you
Okay,
think?
so what should I do? Should I save it and then we can go live again? Will it show 2 lives back to back on
Ooh,
Instagram?
let's ask the people. Oh, thank you. Someone said I had beautiful
Okay, so
internet.
if I save it
You
now,
can
because we're at
save it
almost a half,
after.
right, you save it after, but then could
Okay.
we go live again? I can do a live. You put on your story and then send it to her. Okay, well, that's what I did before.
Oh,
Okay,
it's saying
yes.
someone said no, it won't. You can save after.
You can
But
do
are
many
we
lives in a day,
okay?
right?
Are all of the lives? Can she do another live right now, and it will still
You
go
can
up?
save this one and start again. Maybe what we do is we save this one
Okay.
and see, and
Okay.
then I'm going to call you back and we'll start again.
Okay.
Let's
Sounds like
try
a
it.
plan. Okay.
Okay. Okay.